Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the next edition of The Beat. I am your host, Beatman Rich Navarre. My microphone's all messed up. There we go. What do you think about my new intro? I'll probably get a copyright hit on that one. That's just if I get it. But I was in the parking lot the other day waiting on D-Lady when she was in the store. And that came on the radio. And I said, wow, The Beat, fantastic. That'd be a heck of an intro to my song. I don't know if I use it every time. Maybe I will. We'll see. But anyway, how's everybody doing tonight? Wow, there's been a lot going on around here. Jeez, can you believe it? I just want to say thank you, first of all, to Rocky Denny, first of all, for having me sit with the jammers last night out at Goatless. Played with Deezer Morris. He got first time I ever had a chance to play with Deezer, and it was fun. He's a heck of a bass player. An exceptionally nice guy, and we seemed to sync up quite nicely, and it was a lot of fun. We played with Max McGarr, Mary Sanford, and about 8 other musicians on the stage at the same time. It was quite a showing of talent at Goatless, and I got to tell you, there was some fantastic music that came out of that session. It was just absolutely fantastic. Anyway. I want to shout out to Rocky's wife, Kim. How you doing, Kim? And all the lovely ladies that were on the dance floor last night. Y'all were in rare form, for sure. Well, thanks again out there. Thanks to Larry and Inez out of Goatless out there. And I appreciate you having me. Now, tonight's show is sure to be one for the books. My guest this evening has decades of performance experience. He's played with some heavy hitters, and we'll talk about his life as a music venue owner and a musician. Johnny Barbato is here today in the KGB studio, owner of Johnny B's Front Porch. They're out in Lillian, Alabama, just across the border. Go over the hill, just around the corner, and there you are. So, now Johnny is my very first, this is a milestone for episode 21, because Johnny is my first musician venue owner that I've had on the show so far, and I've been wanting to get a venue owner that plays on my show for a while now. Asked a few, and hopefully there'll be more in the future. But I think it's important, and here's why. And I gotta tell you, I think I made a real good choice in who's on the show today, because him and I have been talking quite a bit. We had a long conversation on the phone yesterday, and he got here early, and we got to talk about a great many things, and I really got to know him. He's a hell of a guy. He's got a lot of experience, knowledge, and wisdom. He knows how to get things done. There's just no doubt about it. So, if you're in a band, you're a solo artist, songwriter, or entertainer, you do not want to miss this episode. As a matter of fact, before he comes on, in about 15, 20 minutes, if you know somebody that's inexperienced, especially coming up and wanting to learn more about how to survive in the music industry here on the Emerald Coast, call them up, tell them, get on the show. They're not going to want to miss what Johnny has to say today, okay? So it's going to be a super episode. I'm sure of it. Well, it's Blue Angels weekend coming up, folks. What do you think about that? Can you believe... this gets me. Can you believe ABC's coverage of the flyby, the breakfast flyby? Goodness gracious. People are going, I mean, if you look on social media and the post came up with that, you watch the news segment and you make it sound like World War III was starting on Pensacola Beach, crying out loud. You know, and the people who had tents and towels and everything else flying in the air, they were having a ball. Hey, I'd be proud and honored if my tent was airborne all of a sudden because a Blue Angel flew by and caused that to happen. That'd be a rush, man. Now, see, I've never been out there. D-Lady and I have not been strong enough or courageous enough to go in and brave the traffic and the people and especially the heat on the beach, you know. So I would say that probably the only way that D-Lady and I would ever probably get a chance to see the Blue Angels would be if we knew somebody that had a condo out there or an apartment or whatever. I can't take that heat for a long period of time. Or a boat, she says. If when you got a boat, I'll be happy to come out with you. It'd be fun. We can even do some interviews and stuff. What do you think? So, will you be participating? Are you one of those die-hard Blue Angels fans willing to brave the traffic, the crowds, the heat, and the people? If that's the case, I salute you for your loyalty and support for our flying friends in blue. And like I said, we've had many invitations, but we still haven't made it out there. We're going through all that. But anyway, should you decide to launch into the fray this weekend and get out to Casino Beach for the show, please pay attention to your surroundings. Be aware of what's around you, almost within a 180 or 360 range. Look around, see people. If you see somebody that looks like they're kind of out of place or they're kind of acting weird or whatever, try to steer clear, okay, and enjoy the show. Yeah, that's what it's all about. This is Blue Angels weekend, folks. This is bigger than the 4th of July, really, when it comes right down to it, because this is one heck of a show. Draws thousands of people every single year. Man, oh man. Yes, ma'am?
Amy Blizzard says she's digging your necklace.
Oh, thank you, Amy. Yeah, this is actually tribal, Blackfoot tribe. I'm supposed to be 1/8 Blackfoot according to my family lineage. So these all have a representation. Since you brought it up, I'm going to go ahead and talk about it. There's 3 bolas on here, okay? The top one itself represents the Great Spirit, the Creator Spirit, okay? The middle one is me, and the bottom one is my maternal father who was passed on. This representation shows a triune relationship, and I'm right in the middle of it, okay? These are all sterling silver with coral and turquoise inlay and stuff, and I really enjoy wearing it. I get compliments all the time, so thanks, Amy. I appreciate that very much. And now, something special. You're going to learn a little bit about Navarre family history. Now, I've had the occasion to research my history all the way back to the year 1234. 1234. 1, 2, 3, 4. Interesting. As it was, France and Spain were in a quandary over who would rightly rule over the province of Navarre, which sat conveniently right on the border between Spain and France, okay? Ferdinand of Spain was king at the time, and he was ruling with an iron fist, and not well liked by the Spaniards and or the French. I mean, the French were affected by that because Navarre led into France. So, the Spanish, especially a delegation from Ferdinand's cabinet, approached some people from France for the purpose of replacing Ferdinand with a more compassionate, just ruler. You know, a king, but not just any king. See, Spain and France were plagued with Ferdinand's decisions to restrict food sources, seeds for planting, the construction of weapons, all this kind of stuff, all designed to overthrow France and keep a tight hold over Spain. He starved the people, and he amassed a great amount of wealth, and he just wasn't well liked. So, after a lengthy discussion in clandestine meetings, representatives from both sides concluded that the only way to peace for both sides would be to replace Ferdinand. After 2 coups failed to supplant Ferdinand, a young knight chosen by sacred closed-door councils came forth, and that knight's name was Leopold, and he was known as Leopold of Navarre. He ended up being the first French king, but I'm going ahead of myself. After consulting with the elders and council, they created a plan to infiltrate Ferdinand's castle, located in Navarre proper, and overthrow his cabinet and subsequently assume command. A fierce battle ensued, and when the dust settled, Ferdinand was defeated. A meeting was held among the province rulers, and when they ended, Leopold was proclaimed the new king of Navarre. He was such a good king and did so much for the people of Navarre that they gave him the title Leopold the Just of Navarre, the first French king in Navarre's history, and I believe the progenitor of my family, all the way back to then, because if you was to look at Leopold's life and his succession and the people that were around him at the time, it would be very easy for you to see how I come to that conclusion. Since that time, my distant family were known throughout history. Some as community leaders, scribes, many as businessmen of renown. How did they get the renown? Because they were businessmen that gave back to their individual communities. They were loved by the people that they lived around in the cities they lived in because they prospered and they gave that prosperity back in so many different ways, whether it was personal service or actual resources. It didn't make any difference. As a matter of fact, they were pioneers in business and community charities and were loved and respected by everybody that knew them. Some migrated to America in the late 1800s and settled in lower Michigan and central Michigan, where, by the way, I was born. I was born in Detroit. Some of my relatives settled near the Detroit River back in the late 1800s, early 1900s. And Antoine Navarre, no doubt a distant cousin and businessman, owned a stretch of the property where the old Tiger Stadium was. And they moved it now. I think it's down more central downtown, but he used to own that piece of property down there. I found out all kinds of fascinating things about my family I didn't even know, you know. I know all about Colonel Wyman and his child bride Noel settling in the land we now call Navarre, Florida. And no, I don't own it. I don't have any claim to it. Dadgummit, I wish I did. Oh, that would be nice if I owned Navarre. Can you imagine? Beatman Rich, King of Navarre. Got a nice ring to it. Oh. Another segment of my distant relatives planted themselves in Lake Charles, Louisiana, of all places. They are businesses. There are businesses like Billy Navarre Ford. Billy Navarre made a name for himself in Lake Charles, and the family's quite huge out there, as a matter of fact. And they're still operated by Navarres and the Navarre family to this day. I've actually reached out to the Navarres in Lake Charles, and I'm still in contact with some of them still today. I don't think any of them watched the show yet, but I let them know who I was and that I know a lot about our family history, and was looking forward someday to come out and visiting them. So, do you know any other Navarres? Here's the thing. Since I moved here, especially when I go to Navarre for whatever reason, if I go into a store someplace and if I pay with a credit card or whatever and they see my name on there, I can't tell you how many times people look at the credit card and say, Navarre? Navarre? Like Navarre, Florida? Yeah, just like that. With one simple exception, and it has a historical background, folks. Navarre, Florida is spelled N-A-V-A-R-R-E. I spell my last name with a capital V, N-A-V-A-R-R-E. The reason I do that is because my mother discovered, and she found a piece of history years and years ago, about Leopold, and it was his decree to take that V and turn it into a capital, and he called it the Royal V. I had to have it. And she started signing her name with a capital V. It stuck from when I was a kid, so that's why I still do that today. Legally, and all my documents, stuff, small V, but you see my posts and everything else, it's all with a capital V. But if you know any Navarres out there, send them my way. Give them my Facebook page and stuff. Have them reach out on social media. I'd love to meet them. I'd like to know if there's at least one more around someplace. So far, I haven't found any here or in Navarre. Okay, folks, I got to roll here because it's almost quarter after this hour, and I got upcoming shows to do. So we're going to get right into that right now. Hope you enjoyed that. I know some of you will, some of you won't, and stuff. But and I didn't give you that just to try to toot a horn or any of that kind of stuff. I thought you might find it interesting. I don't have a very common last name. And as a result, the historic nature of it really does present itself sometimes. Anyway, upcoming show. D-Lady's giving me the highest time. Moving along, honey. You're taking too much time. I understand. Okay. They're in no particular order. Saturday, the Ghetto Palace presents a Blues Masters tribute featuring Prodigal Blues and our very own Cat Daddy Blues Band. That is going to be Saturday. It starts at 6 p.m. Tickets are $15. It is a ticketed event. And you want to get those as early as you possibly can. Shout out to Prodigal Blues and Jim Richmond and his band. How you doing, guys? Hope you have a great show. The Sandshaker hosts JoJo and the Lost Boys tonight. They start at 8 p.m. Tomorrow, the Boathouse Landing in Valparaiso. Donnie Morgan Music starts at 5:30 p.m. And Saturday at AJ's on the Bayou with Paradise Valley. Did we ever determine if it's Vale? I don't know. I'm not probably pronouncing that wrong. They start at 5 o'clock. So if you're out that way, go check out their show. Tonight, Scott Riggs. His company, Scott Riggs Music, is actually just him, performed at Five Sisters Blues Cafe tonight at 6 p.m. You're going to want to keep an eye on this because Scott has graciously agreed to come on my show, and I think he's booked for the last show of the month, the 30th, I believe. How you doing, Scott? The Aces have a weekend to experience. Tomorrow, they're playing at G.I.J.'s Tiki Bar in Port Walton at 6 o'clock. Saturday, Andy D's Roadhouse at 7 p.m. And Sunday, the Sandbar at 4:30 p.m. The Exit 69 Band plays Bobby J Saloon Saturday, 3 p.m. for Tonio's Memorial Bike Run. Okay. Rocky Danny Brotherhood. What's going on, Rocky? Kim? Gang? They play at the Sandbar tomorrow at 6 p.m. That's great. I'm glad you're getting out to the Sandbar. Some of the places on the beach there, Rocky. That's good to see. Five Sisters Blues Cafe has Gene LeBay and the Reverberators playing 6 p.m. And is that tonight or is that tomorrow? I didn't write the date down. Sorry. If you got an update on that, flash it on the screen, Gene, and D-Lady will correct me. Hippie Jim Sloan. I'm going to get Hippie Jim on the show. Hippie Jim Sloan hits the Salty Pearl Raw Bar in Perdido Key at 5 p.m. That's tonight. That was tomorrow, actually. TDN plays DNR Lounge tomorrow at 9 p.m. And The Collective, back in the saddle after AJ's recovery. AJ, what's happening, man? I'm glad you're feeling better, dude. Because the people want to hear your music. Anyway, they're coming back, and they're playing Cobalt, the restaurant, 5 p.m. tomorrow. So if you're out that way, you got to catch that show. Ladies Irish Pub hosts Jay Moody tonight at 9 p.m. And then Brendan Giles will be there Saturday at 9 p.m. as well in Blackwater Country at 2 p.m. Thank you, Seamus, so much, my brother. I do love Patio Lyrics. That's a great place to go see a band because it's such a tight, intimate venue. You can get real close to the band. It's so much fun. Smoking in the Freeway 98 band plays Peg Leg Beach tonight at 6 p.m. And tomorrow at Calvert's in the Heights at 7 p.m. And then again Saturday at Splash RV Resort at 7 p.m. Analog Missionary in Alabama plays Saturday at Art Centricity along with Grantham Unknown, Greta Lugosi, and Marla and the Singers. Folks, I know this is out in Alabama, but if you get a chance, you got to go experience this. They have a whole cool music scene up there. Reach out to them on social media and hook up with them. You got to go out and see the show out there. D-Lady's giving me a high sign. Yes, ma'am?
Lisa Williams says, "Hey, Beat Band, anything happening for the Blues Homecoming?"
Not as yet, but stay tuned and details will most definitely follow, I'm sure. Thanks, Lisa. I appreciate the comment, hon. Okay, Bad Juju. I had the whole weekend at Hub Stacy's. First downtown, and that's where you at? Downtown tomorrow, and then again at the Point on Saturday, both at 7 p.m. You gotta go see Christy D and her band. They're great entertainment, and they do some fantastic music. Bad Alibi tomorrow at Pedro's Taco and Tequila Bar in Sam, Alabama at 6 p.m. And Saturday at Woodsy's Hilltop Bar here in Pensacola at 9 p.m. And that's it for upcoming show. Now, my guest this evening, ladies and gentlemen, has spent the better part of his professional life playing music. His history is long and vast, and he's played with some outstanding musicians. His time nowadays is spent running one of the most popular music venues in our area, Johnny B's Front Porch in Lillian, Alabama. Today, he's here from Lillian, actually Alberta, I believe is where he came from today, to be in the KTV studio with the Beat Man to talk about a great many things. You're going to enjoy this. Listen up and pay attention, because this man's got some wisdom to depart. Everybody, please welcome Mr. Johnny Barbato. Come on in, Johnny.
Hey, buddy. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing good. Good to see you. Thanks so much for being on my show, man. I do appreciate that a lot.
You're quite welcome.
It's an honor to have. I've heard you play, and I've been at your spot so many times and stuff, and you're doing a great job out there, man. I got to tell you. And just recently, as a matter of fact, we were out at Johnny B's for James Proctor's benefit.
Yeah.
How did that turn out, by the way?
Fantastic.
Did he make any money?
Oh, yeah.
Did he?
I don't think he was expecting us to. I don't think he was expecting to buy a car, but it certainly worked out fine. And the wonderful part was the wonderful people from Pensacola that came out to support James.
I saw a few that I knew, and it was a good time. There's a lot of good music there. Glenn and Teresa Vignolo played. I think James was playing bass at the time.
They were fantastic.
And who was the drummer? That was the guy who played with Lipstick and Legends, wasn't it?
I don't know
No.
that guy.
Oh, okay, all right. Well, he did a good job anyway.
He was very good. Yeah.
It was a lot of fun. All right, listen. I know you want enough of the small talk, beat man. Get to the meat. All right. Okay. So listen, Johnny. I'm sure folks want to know a bit about your history. Please tell us how your music career started, and its roots, and some of the influences that made you the musician you are today.
I grew up in New Orleans, and it was 1969, and everybody was hanging out on Bourbon Street, you know.
Oh yeah.
And it was the hippie years, and I was just starting to play, and I wasn't very good, so I played in the street because I wasn't ready to get a job.
All right.
So,
That's good. No busking. All right.
And so I grew up doing the street corner thing like everybody in New Orleans, and as fate would have it, my family moved to Mobile, Alabama.
How about that?
And about 1971 or 2, we moved to Mobile, Alabama.
All right.
And by that time I could play a little bit, but I wasn't out of high school yet. And so I graduated high school the next year, and ran across a young man from Slidell named Luther Womble.
Okay.
Who was just legendary guitar player, and we just became best friends, and we spent some 40 years together making music.
That's history. Wow.
And anyway, so we started playing the college campuses around Mobile, and in those days, the Mississippi state line, you know, because when I first moved to Alabama, I thought music was dead, you know. And then I found out there was a band called Wet Willie, Jimmy Hall. I mean, he was
Wet Willie,
freaking amazing.
I take it back.
But there was this scene going on at the Mississippi State Line that just was out of this world. And so we ended up becoming part of that, and then the college circuit around Mobile, and then there was no way to live in this part of the world and not be attracted to the Gulf of Mexico.
Right.
So I came down to Gulf Shores and met some friends of mine. And back in the old days, Gulf Shores was the music scene, not Orange Beach, not Floribama. This is pre-Floribama.
Wow.
And so we had a tremendous music scene in and around the Gulf Shores area.
Really?
And of course the Bama opened up. The Bama opened up under Joe with music in 1978. And I was out there one day, probably the third or fourth day he was open, and I heard a guy named Ken Lambert. Ken Lambert was the first guy to ever play for Joe, and I was watching Ken, and I just got paralyzed. I mean, because before that I was playing with bands,
right?
And Ken was just by himself, you know, in a corner where Joe had set up.
Okay.
And he just paralyzed me. And the whole Floribama, you know, within months, Joe was building the original back room, and Jay Hawkins had come on board.
Jay Hawkins. Wow.
You know, Jay was amazing. They're both amazing. And so, anyway, but in that day, I wasn't strong enough to play my acoustic guitar by myself. I was so used to leaning on Luther that it took me a while to kind of get strong enough to work into that scene. But I began to work in that scene in the late '70s and early '80s. And
first band, first real band when you made your first dollar. What was that?
Was a band called Southbound. That was with Luther, and that was probably 72, 73.
Why does that ring a bell?
I got busted in '79. 79 was the era of marijuana still coming from Mexico.
Oh yeah.
And somebody offered me make $10,000 one night unloading the boat, and
Oh my goodness.
Then I spent 3 years in a federal penitentiary. You know
Oh,
what I'm saying? My Luther was waiting on me when I got out, and I got out, and we started again. That was about mid '80s, and we became the Lucky Dogs.
Oh,
And the Lucky Dogs have existed for a little over 40 years now.
man, it's a long time. Long run for a band, everybody. 40 years, man. I talked to some musicians around here that had been playing around this area for like 25, 30 years, but 40 years, man, that's just a monumental accomplishment, Johnny, I gotta tell you.
Well,
Unheard of.
we've buried 9 guys.
Wow.
But I mean,
That's hardcore.
but it started out it started out in Mobile, and then it moved over here to the, you know, we were based out of Floribama for years because Joe was so good to me, and today we're still together. We're not the dust isn't quite so high.
I understand. All right, let me shift gears a little bit here, Johnny.
Sure.
We need to know how and when did Johnny B's Front Porch come to be? Now, you and I were talking earlier. Evidently, the front porch was the front porch before Johnny B took it over. Yes.
Yes, it was. It was called Lillian's Front Porch.
Lillian's Front Porch. So, how did you get involved with that, and how did you become the owner of the place?
Well, I have a child I've been raising for quite some time. Her name is Madison, and Madison's a special, very special, gifted child. And I kind of adopted Madison when she was 10.
Wow.
And by this time she was probably 13 or so.
Okay.
And 14, I don't know. And she was older than that. I take it back. She graduated high school.
Wow.
So anyway, we moved from Gulf Shores to Alberta.
Okay.
And me and Luther used to play the old Lillian Porch.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, when we moved to Alberta, and I started taking Maddie up there, and Maddie never had a lot of friends, but the lady that owned the porch at the time, she just must have been a godly lady, is all I can say. And she just took a liking to Maddie, and she actually gave Maddie a job.
Yeah.
And so rather than Maddie following me around, I started following Maddie around.
How about that?
Around her job, you know what I'm saying? And the lady and her husband had talked to me about leasing the place. And,
Okay.
And I had an amount in my head that I thought the place was worth.
Right.
I gave it to her. They didn't jump on it. But later on, her husband had passed away through a very strange operation. It just was tragic, and she didn't want to do that by herself.
I see.
And so she put it up for sale, and it didn't sell like she wanted to immediately. And she called me and she said, asked me was I still interested in leasing it? And I said, well, of course I am. And so we agreed on the price that she had said.
Sure.
And we were going to sign the contract the very next day. And she called me and said, Johnny, she said, I'm going to make you a deal. I'm going to sell you this place. She said, give me $5,000 down and I'll finance it for 4%. And
What a deal!
it sure is. I went found me $5,000 and I got started.
I've been running to $5,000.
And I think that was 2021. It was 2020 actually.
2020, okay.
But it took me 3 or 4 months to make some changes to the building.
Yeah.
I've made many changes now. But because the building, when I got it, it was really a porch. There were 2 little small wings on the side.
Okay.
The inside was pure open. It was a porch. It was a porch. That's why they called it the porch.
So the whole area where the dining area is now was uncovered?
That was all. It was
All in the open, huh?
all. It was a porch.
Amazing.
And so anyway, I covered all that up. Knocked out a few walls, and went to work.
And it's Johnny B's Front Porch to this very day. If you haven't been out there, folks, you really should go. And besides having some of the most quality entertainment anywhere around here on the Emerald Coast, Johnny's got a heck of a menu out there. His food is great. Drink prices are more than reasonable. They were the other day when D-Lady and I were there. We were really surprised. Now, that might have been an event prices, I don't know, but they seem unusually low to me. Let me ask you, over the years, what has been the biggest challenge owning and running a venue that's a restaurant and bar combined?
Food.
Tell us how that works.
I mean, first off, being a guitar player, I didn't really grow up with a huge background in food, and I really didn't intend on opening having a food segment. What I intended on having was a music venue.
Yeah.
And so but there was a kitchen, and it appeared as though there was nowhere that served any food after 2:00 in the afternoon in the area. So it made sense to have food, and so it took me quite some time to begin to get a handle on food.
And I bet you make a killing on food, don't you? I bet that's your highest profit item in the whole place.
No, it's not.
Oh, come on.
No.
Level with us, Johnny. Tell them.
Food. I mean, it is so hard to make a living on food, and with the prices, I was telling a friend of mine. I mean, just at wholesale, we're paying $5 a pound for hamburger meat.
Mm-hmm.
I had to quit carrying seafood. I just couldn't afford it anymore.
Yeah, imagine. That's expensive.
And it's just it's tough. But I do think we're doing a quality job with the things we have right now.
I agree with that.
And when you talk to people who are successful, I think what you're mostly going to hear is find a few things and do it well.
Good advice.
And that's kind of been our motto. You know what I'm
Yeah, you
saying?
don't have to be everything to everybody all the time. You know, you find a niche, you stick with it, especially if it's successful and drawing a customer and a client base.
And then having food, you know, I mean, there were two things I decided. I did not want smoking inside.
Good for you.
I didn't want smoking inside, and so without having smoking inside and with having food, that tends to give you a customer base that's worth having.
Yeah, I hear you.
And not that I don't like a honky tonk, because I do love a honky tonk.
Sure.
I even miss a smoky old honky tonk.
Well,
sometimes,
sure.
you know?
There's something to be said for that. You know.
I just don't want to have them.
Yeah. If you can stand to be in the bar for very long. D-Lady and I had been in a couple smoking bars that we could barely stay in an hour, maybe catch the first set of a band we were looking for or whatever, because just couldn't handle it. You know.
But we all grew up.
We sure did.
Doing that, you know.
I know.
Oh, yeah.
Things have just changed, and now
Our parents were smokers, our grandparents were smokers. My goodness, back when I was a kid, everybody smoked.
And if you talk to people up and down the beach right now, and I believe I can see it myself, people are not drinking like they used to drink.
Really? Yeah.
I mean, with DUI laws,
Oh.
the things people aren't power drinking anymore. Especially not grown folks. You know what I'm saying? At least that's what I see. You know.
Well, I guess in one sense that's not a real bad thing.
No, it's not.
We'll make sure people make it home at the end of the night.
No,
That's for sure.
it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. Not at all. I think it's necessary.
How in the heck do you juggle your music life with your band and operating Johnny B? Now, I know your band hasn't been playing much, but during the heyday, let's say pre-2020 or in the early days, 21, 22, and so forth. I mean, what was that like? I imagine.
Well, when I started off, we played every Sunday, which made it easy.
Okay.
And we played every Sunday, and then I would take I'd find something during the week. And Floribama was still pretty gracious to me back in those days. I would do some afternoon things at Floribama. It made life easy, But I mean, I certainly wasn't working like we have worked through the years.
Yeah.
During
the heyday, let's take the heyday. They say between 2020 and now, when things were really, really pumping, running, and going. How did you keep all that stuff together? Because by that time you already had the venue, so you were managing that, and you were managing a band and playing out.
Well, I have a really good nighttime manager.
Okay.
I have a young lady named Teresa who does an excellent job at nighttime managing. And Madison.
Shout out to Teresa.
And Madison, my child Madison, she writes checks. She's smart. She's a go-getter. And so between the two of them, I'm covered.
Well, not only that, but listen, folks, have you not yet experienced the hospitality that you experience out of Johnny B's front porch? This is just a thing in and of itself. People there are friendly, and I gotta tell you, our wait staff, every time we've ever been there, whoever it's been, it's usually been a woman, it's usually been a mature woman, which I can respect because they really keep on top of things. It's just been absolutely wonderful. The service is fantastic. Your staff is polite. They're courteous. They seem attentive. And I just want to compliment your staff.
Thank you.
Definitely, and that is a testament to the one who runs the place. Because you got a shitty owner, you're going to have a lousy staff. There's no doubt about it.
look in this business. Everybody knows there's turnover,
Sure.
and it's never any one person's fault. I mean, there's 1,000 reasons why.
Exactly right.
It's 1,000 reasons why things don't work, or especially during this season, a lot of people want to go to the beach because it's a better job.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so, but I credit what we're doing to just trying to be a family operated business.
Right.
You know,
It's got that feel. It's got that feel.
We're the guy that owns the place will come shake your hand and say hi.
Exactly. Which is rare nowadays. It really is.
Yeah, I wanted something anti-corporate.
Yep.
And when I first opened up, and I really still keep that. You know, I worked for Joe Gilchrist from Florida, Alabama for a lot of years.
Okay.
And Joe was an amazing human being. Loved music. And you know, I try to ask myself, you know, how would Joe approach this or how would Joe approach that? And by no means am I Joe will ever be close. Joe was so mild-mannered, it's not even funny. But I mean, Joe was an ex-school teacher.
Okay.
And so he just had that school teacher approach, you know. But I mean,
They got a way about them, I know.
yeah, he did. And so. But anyway, the more you do it, the better you get. That's what I think.
Well, here's an unusual question. Maybe unusual.
Sure.
I don't know. But you're on the other side of our border. You're in Alabama. Give us your opinion and give us a comparison between the music scene in Alabama as opposed to Florida.
Always been a huge difference. From the day I moved to Mobile, but things are when in the 70s when I was in Mobile and even in the 80s, Pensacola was always to me a rock and roll town.
Is that right?
I mean, just balls to the wall rock and roll.
Okay.
I mean, and great rock and roll bands. And
Wow.
Mobile was a blues-based town,
Right.
which came from some of the forefathers of Mobile, such as Topper Price and Jimmy Hall.
Yeah.
And so there was this built-in, just kind of blues-based thing. You know what I'm saying?
Would you agree with me that the dominant genre down here and with most bands and stuff is blues? I mean, nowadays, the dominant genre that you hear played in venues. I hear more blues than I hear anything else. I hear rock and roll, and I go see rock and roll shows.
I mean,
but
I credit that. I credit that to the scene that you all have created here at Seville for the last 20 years.
Right.
I was talking about Mobile doesn't have that scene. I mean, you all created this Monday night thing at Seville that is contagious, and it's a great thing. And if you're new to town, you meet people. It's just a great scene, and so. But I still, when I look out about Pensacola, even if it's not rock and roll, I would call it top 40.
okay.
And I always felt Pensacola had more of that than Mobile. Of course, look, we're both getting older and times are changing.
Yeah, that's for
You know what I'm
sure, man.
saying?
Aren't they ever?
Everything did used to be blues based, but yeah, right now Pensacola's a thriving scene.
I'm getting a high sign from D-Lady about the time, but I'm not done asking questions yet, so we're going to go a little bit longer. Here's one for you. Concerning bands and musical acts, what must they understand about how to deal with venue owners? Are there any do's? I know you've got some don'ts. Are there any do's or don'ts when negotiating or talking? What kind of advice could you give a band like that? What do they need?
Well, this is a piece of advice that's worked for me all my life, and I very rarely do I see anyone do it. But if I have someone new to the area, or they got a new act, they're trying to get something together. What worked for me all my life was I would go find some venue and I would tell this guy, "What's the slowest night of your week? Let me come to your facility on the slowest night of your week, and I'm gonna play for an hour.
Okay.
For nothing. I'm just gonna play for an hour.
Sure. Okay.
And what happens is that this guy doesn't have to listen to a tape. He hears you in his facility, and you're out a couple hours of work that night.
Right.
And in my experience, when I did that, over 90% of the time I got the job.
Fantastic. Listen to that, folks.
And I'm just saying, most guys, to me, they call me, nobody knows them. That's the first, I'm in Lillian, we're in the middle of nowhere.
Right.
And it doesn't matter how good your band is, if nobody knows you, it's not going to do me any good.
No, it's not, yeah.
And so my other piece of advice is that even though you're an experienced player and you got 20, 30 years and all that kind of stuff, when you start all over, you start all over. That's
Yeah.
what it means. And you got to come out here and earn your keep.
Yeah, pay your dues. That has to happen.
Which I've seen. I mean, there's a little band running around town called Riptide. You know, they got together in my place.
One of my favorite bands to be on my show.
And they're doing fantastic.
They're doing great. You know why? And you know why? In my opinion, it's not just because they're a great band. They got 2 male lead singers, but they got tremendous talent. But they are marketing monsters. They know how to get the word out. And I think most of that's from Brandy Billy.
That's Brandy. That's
Yeah.
Brandy. Brandy does an amazing job.
She even helped me with some stuff. Hey, Brandy, if you're watching,
Yeah.
I love you.
No,
and
she-
I love Riptide. You know I do.
Yeah, she does an amazing job. And the guys are all good people. And
How was Riptide received out there?
what's that?
How was Riptide received out there?
Oh, they were received wonderfully. But like I said, they started all this thing on the band on a Thursday night jam, and it just kind of came together. And like I said, they're having tremendous success, and they've worked hard for it.
Yeah. And you gotta, that's just the bottom line if you want to be successful in the music business. One of the things that you and I talked about earlier on the phone and a little bit here before the show, a point that I want to get across to young bands and bands that are coming up that don't have necessarily a lot of notoriety and street cred, but they got a lot of talent and they're starting to build a little bit of following. What advice can you give them as far as talking to a venue owner when they're trying to get booked? What do you look for in a band when you book a band? You got some bullet points like point A, point B, point C?
Do you believe in yourself?
A.
Do you do your homework? Do you work? Like you just said about Brandy. Are you going to promote?
Exactly.
You can't book the job and expect me to do all the work.
Right.
It's the opposite way around. You have to do the legwork, and so if you
So
know,
important.
Those are the things, and then on your first gig at a place new, I think you have to be reasonable on your price.
Sure, absolutely.
Because if you come in my place and you bring it, I'm going to pay you.
Sure.
I'm going to pay you more than we were talked about.
Right.
But I can't sit here and guarantee you top dollar.
No.
When I don't know you, that's all.
Exactly.
So that'd be my advice.
And that's good advice too. Another thing that we discussed, Johnny and I, was the fact that bands nowadays have a lot of talent, but they don't have a lot of business savvy when it comes to, like he says, marketing and so forth. But you got to understand, there are more avenues to play your music out there these days that are more accepting, that have money. Okay, you got to understand the margins this man's got operating on are like paper thin. You know what I mean? He can barely pay himself, for crying out loud. So does that mean that all your business should be bar business? What else could they be looking at, Johnny, as far as other venues and places to play?
I'm not quite following you there.
Remember we talked about the American Legions and the VFW halls, and how many of them have big budgets, and
Oh yeah.
as an option, as another avenue.
I mean, without a doubt. I mean, there's years ago, I didn't even want to play in American Legion because, but that was during the era of the World War II veterans and the Vietnam veterans.
Right.
And American Legions have all they've all kind of come to age.
Right.
And they have healthy memberships. They have budgets and they want variety too.
Exactly.
And they tend to not just be all for this kind of music or that kind of music.
Right.
So yeah, I mean those kinds of venues versus I'm a very small venue versus what's out here.
Yeah.
And like you said, my margins are if I end up having to pay a band 20% of my gross,
Right.
I'm losing money.
Absolutely.
And so there has to be a line there. And so again, and I tell this. I was telling you earlier. There's a place in Mobile called the Blues Tavern, and I've been playing since it opened. And Randy doesn't overpay me a lot, but I understand Randy's issues. Randy, Randy works hard for what he has, and he pays me fair. But I'm just saying there are places I make better money. That's how you have to fill your calendar. You get your good gigs, but you got to work. The one thing Luther Wample taught me years ago was count my money on Sunday. Go to work. Play everything you can play. Then on Sunday, count your money.
I love that. That's fantastic. Well, we're moving on along in time here, Johnny, so I think we might want to get moving on to seeing or listening to some of your original music. Folks, he's written a lot of tunes, and I asked him to come in and play a couple of his tunes for us, for you to enjoy. He's going to be singing and playing. So, Johnny, if you will at this time, sir, please take your place back there while I fill in the time doing jibber-jabber stuff. So, anyway, you're going to enjoy this, ladies and gentlemen. During sound check today, I was really, really impressed. So I'm going to let Johnny go ahead and take it from here. And I may have a question or two between songs. We'll see. But for right now, I want to give it all to him.
I got to plug in again, that's right.
Yep.
You want me to mute that channel just for a second if you can?
Got it.
That should have it.
Go ahead. Here you go.
All right. It's a little song about growing up in New Orleans. I grew up right on the river, a little city outside called Harahan. And it just seemed like all the fun we had when I was a kid was on the river. If you were going to smoke something you weren't supposed to smoke, if you was going to steal your best friend's bicycle and hide it, you would hide it behind the levee, back by the river.
Nobody find it back there, huh?
Yeah. So we just had a lot of fun behind the levee. As a matter of fact, Rich, I just went to visit an old lifetime childhood friend who lived about 3-4 houses from the levee. And when I got out of my car, we didn't walk in the house. He made me walk across the levee. And walk right to the river where we played when we were kids, you know what I'm saying? And it was cool. That's kind of where this came from. I'm going down to the river, baby, don't you wanna come? I'm going down to the river, baby, don't you wanna come? Heading down on the river, we gon' have some fun. I'ma drink a little whiskey and some wine too. I'ma drink a little whiskey, girl, I have some wine too. And when I'm done with the whiskey, have me some of you. You better call your mama, you better call your pa. You better call your mama, little girl, you better call your pa. And when I'm done with your woman, you better call the law. I'm going down to the river, baby, don't you wanna come? I'm going down to the river, said my baby, don't you wanna come?
Oh yeah. Now, if you didn't like that, you're dead. Oh, I love the slide, Johnny. And I tell you what, I love the way you manipulate it on the neck of that guitar.
I appreciate that, Rick.
Oh man.
I got to retune for this next one.
That's fine. That's fine. Now that one you just did, that sounded like to me like good. I mean, some of the older, gritty, down home, right from the gut, Delta blues. I mean, right from Louisiana.
I mean, well, growing up in New Orleans, there was always a black guy on that levee.
Yep.
Somewhere. You know what I'm saying?
I got you.
Just doing his thing.
Sure.
And we would pay attention. because they were.
All right.
Here we go. Here.
Hit us with another one, man.
I'm fixing to record this particular record. I've got down with the record. This is one's called. If you want to see a rainbow, you got to have to let it rain. Keep across that river, girl, till you learn to swim. You're never gonna know the babe till you let one in. Won't climb a mountain till you jump on every limb. You worry about the bumps and bruises, the only part of the pain. You're gonna see a rainbow, you better have a little rain. You better have a little rain. I'm tried and tested, girl. I've been here before. I know you're hurting, babe, but you gonna hurt some more. Yeah, you're searching, babe. I hope you find your way. You worry about the bumps and bruises, the only part of the pain. You're gonna see a rainbow. You better have a little rain. You better have a little rain. Keep across that river, child, till you learn to swim. You're never gonna know the babe. You gotta let one in. Won't climb a mountain, man, till you drop off every limb. You worry about the bumps and bruises, the only part of the pain. You're gonna see a rainbow. You better have a rain. You better have a rain. You better give me that rain. Babe, I need a little rain.
Oh man! Yeah, I gotta tell you, if there ever comes a day, one day, where I get the honor and privilege to play with you in a band, I can't wait to back you up with some harmonies. I almost busted out there myself. I was feeling it while you were singing. I'm going, I know I can hit a pitch on that one.
Well, you can bust it out.
Oh no, it's all about you, bro. Maybe one day we'll see how it happens.
You bust it out. You bust it out.
All right, we got time for one more, sir.
Here we go. I woke up this morning. What did I see? It was a backside of you walking yourself out on me. But the clouds rolled in, paid their respect. It was a blue sunset. She took all my sunshine, all my stuff, everything that I had, like it wasn't enough.
Outstanding, Johnny. That was so good. Oh my goodness. Ladies and gentlemen, you had to enjoy that. I certainly did. I wanted to bust out singing a couple of times. And I tell you what, I think I know the first two songs. I could almost play it on the drums just from that right there. I felt every note. It was fantastic. I gotta say thanks to a few people before we call the end of the show, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you to D-Lady for operating the camera today. Many thanks to Goat Lips, Rocky Denny, and the Brotherhood of Players. Thank you to my special guest today, Mr. Johnny Barbato. Johnny, thank you so much. It was a pure pleasure, sir.
Thank you.
And we appreciate you being on the show today. But most of all, thank you, everybody, for watching The Beat, okay? This is your beloved Beat Man bidding you a wonderful evening. So you be safe. Don't let anyone steal your joy, okay? And from the KTB studio here in lovely East Hill, Pensacola, this is the Beat Man saying, KTB, I'm out.